My father transferred me to his high school in the hood. I said, Dad, I'm gonna graduate college in 4 years. After I get my diploma, Dad.
See, most of you in the room, unfortunately, you listen to the media so much, you think you're everything's good. You think you're fine, okay? Because the media has not exposed the reality on the middle class. They talk about poverty and they talk about the rich people, and they never talk about the people in between.
Those are all the questions that I would decompose the problem into. The best way to avoid falling back into nihilistic behaviors and thinking.
The heart of a champion, what does it take to really truly be a champion? Well, it takes more than excuses. It takes more than just giving yourself a pass. There are only so many champions in the world, and true champions understand what dedication and hard work really is. True champions understand if you're going to be a lion, you've got to know what it means to go through the jungle. You can't pretend or fake it just to make it.
After I march across the stage, Dad, after I flip my tassel, Dad, then I'm gonna play in the NBA. And my father smiled and just shook his head. He says, okay, son, I like it. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to take it out and look at it every single day. Take your goals out and look at them every single day. Because here's why. When a shark locks in on a goal, it goes into a trance. When a shark gets locked in, it goes into a trance. With good habits, good rituals, great follow-up. Good habits, good rituals, great follow-up. I looked at those goals every single morning, and I went into a trance.
The people in between in this country suffer more than the people in poverty. People in poverty are actually taken care of. People in the middle are completely ignored. I'm talking about the people that make 200 grand a year and live up here and still don't have any money left over. They send their kids to school, they got 2 BMWs, they live in a nice house, they have air-conditioned water and heat, right? And there's no money. So they send a little bit of money to a Keogh account, and they think, okay, we're gonna retire one day. You're gonna be old one day. By the time you get to use that money, you'll be so old, you won't wanna use it. The only thing that's gonna change anything for you and your family is like, man, what am I doing here? Okay? You don't need to go work in another industry. You take the habits you have right now to the restaurant business will fail. Every business is in disruption right now.
If you wanna be a pro, a real pro, you better get some habits and rituals, and you better do them all day, every day. Habits and rituals will make you a pro. We played the #1 team in the country. They had the #1 player in the country, and we beat them. And I outplayed the #1 player in the country. I got to school the next day. The school was going crazy. Great game, Walt Bay. You was on fire. You put us on your back. Thank you. Thank you. I'm fighting through the crowd trying to go to the counselor's office. That game was over. It happened yesterday. But I'm in school now, and I'm not a ball player right now. I'm a student, and I was trying to get to the counselor's office, and here's why. I had a 2.9. And even though we beat the #1 team in the country, I outplayed the #1 player in the country, and all I cared about was getting to my coach's office.
Everything to change. You want to go trade Bitcoin? It's going to take a commitment. It's going to take ups and downs. Going to be a bunch of ups and downs in that crypto play. Everybody agree? Okay. You want to go do the real estate game rather than the car game? I'm going to tell you something right now, man. If you don't bring commitment and discipline and fortitude and persistence to the real estate game, you will get killed in the real estate game. There's no game that you're going to win at that doesn't require a commitment.
What's an area that's important to improve? If your body's great, how about your career? If career's great, how about your relationships? Intimate one especially, or your kids, or your relationship with your creator, your spiritual side of your life. Or is it your finances? Figure an area that really matters. Decide on that area. Number 1, write down what your life is like in that area right now as specifically as possible. So you might say, well, I'm 13.5 pounds overweight, whatever the weight is, whatever the situation is, or my body fat's like this, or I wake up exhausted in the morning, and you write the truth of where you are right now.
You tell fear, take a break. I got business to take care of. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be like everybody else. Overcome the fear. Be powerful. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to talk to you. You're a little bit about negativity and what does it really mean? What does it do to you and what does it do to others in the world? But when you talk about negativity, we'll do certain things to you that will put you down and keep you down.
How can responsibility be differentiated from imposed guilt? Well, I think you adopt genuine responsibility let's say, healthy responsibility, I think you adopt that more or less voluntarily. I mean, there's an element of necessity and compulsion in our lives as well, because there are things we have to do to survive. But if you've explicitly formulated a set of goals and you're pursuing them, then you've adopted the responsibility to act in a certain manner to make those goals realize themselves. That's responsibility that you've adopted rather than responsibility that's been imposed on you, assuming that you've thought through the goals and you find your spirit in harmony with those goals.
You have got to understand what negativity truly ultimately does. Eventually, it will put you in a position where you are feeling hopeless. You feel that you got to depend on someone to be happy, but you don't. You feel like you got to hang around a bunch of people to feel important, but you don't. You got to understand when you're hanging around things that is not helping you to move up, it's only going to put you in a position where you're going to stay down. And this is not a place that you want to be. Do not let negative tell you what to do. Don't let negativity put you in a position that you feel that there's nothing going to come out of you. You have every opportunity right in front of you. Just take a moment of clarity within yourself and realize that you do matter. Understand that there's purpose within you, ladies and gentlemen. Understand that you do matter for a reason because you exist for a reason.
The only conversation is pushing. You feel you can't push. The only conversation is you against you. The rest doesn't matter, the excuses. Doesn't matter, the weakness doesn't. Count excuses, get out of my way, that's what this is about, so you got to. Recognize when it gets tough, you better get tough. Easy does not count, easy does not work. You can't cheat your way up, you got to push your way up, not everyone. At this rate, you'll be at the top, not everyone is suitable. To be at the top, if you're having a mental breakdown, then body will believe everything that the mind is telling it to do. You got to understand. Mind is a terrible thing to waste, and if the mind ain't right, then the body won't be right.
You can consult your resentment. I think that's a very useful step. If you find yourself angry and bitter about the things that you are responsible for doing, then that's an indication that you might be operating under some unhealthy compulsion, that you're rebelling, and that's the reason for the resentment, against the insistence that you act in a certain way. Although it's also possible that you're just immature and that you're rebelling against the discipline that's necessary to attain the goals that you genuinely do want to attain and that are valid and that you are actively engaged in constructing. So you have to get that straight, and some of that's a consequence of thought, and again, some of that's a consequence of discussion with other people enough to have a conversation like that.
Now, if you let negative or negativity control you, control your thoughts, control your actions, then what's left? You got to get past this thing about wondering who, what, when, and where, and how you're going to go to the next level. The only way you're going to move up is you got to move up with the right mindset and understanding that you have all the power and uniqueness within you to get to the level you want to be in your life. You can't allow things that are holding you back to take control of your life. No matter the circumstances, you can do it. No matter the circumstances, you can make it, because negativity doesn't own you. So if you're surrounding yourself with people or things that's not making you better, I suggest you move forward. I suggest you disconnect yourself from these things.
A gift of giving, a gift of receiving, and rather if it's good or bad. You've got to make sure you understand that these circumstances and these challenges has to happen in your life. You will come to a point that you may feel that you are in a hopeless situation. You may cut to a point in your life where you are at the end of a rope, and the only thing left to do is to climb up, because you only can do so much for so long.